welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to this cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofobe. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air all night comes out. Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) and all other relevant agencies have been ordered to begin the immediate implementation of the Interagency Committee recommendations, which were set up to address the incessant grid collapses in the power sector. Minister for Power Adebayo Adelabu gave the order in a statement by Special Advisor on Strategic Communications and Media, Bolaji Tunji. He says the order came as the transmission company reported that the national grid had experienced disturbance on Thursday, calling on all relevant agencies in the Ministry to brace up for immediate implementation of the committee's recommendations. The TCN also appealed for understanding among Nigerians on the possibilities of intermittent disruptions as repair work has begun on the grid. The federal government has collaborated with the United Kingdom to strengthen security in Nigeria and work on a lasting contactless biometric solution. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo disclosed this in a statement on his official X account after screening with the Home Secretary of the United Kingdom, Yvette Cooper. According to him, the federal government is committed to building strategic partnerships that will enhance security and public service delivery. President Bola Tinubu has been urged to take drastic measures in getting the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries in Niger Delta working immediately in order to revive the economy in the oil-rich region. A coalition of Niger Delta oil-producing ethnic nationalities forum in a protest led by President and National Coordinator Comrade Emmanuel Pathfinder made the call when they stormed the zonal office of the NNPC in Warri, Delta State. The protesters expressed their displeasure over the abandonment of Port Harcourt and Warri refineries by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, urging President Tinubu to give all necessary support to local refineries, including Dangote Refinery, in order to stop fuel importation. In their protest letter, they also asked the president to compel the company to comply with the National Executive Council resolution to sell crude oil to Dangote Refinery in Naira so as to reduce the price of petroleum products in the country. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN has stated that arraigning and trying minors who have committed crimes is not against the law. The AGF, in a statement in Abuja, stressed that according to the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, trying to detain and bad governance protesters in the Federal High Court is not inappropriate as claimed by many, given the crimes with which they were charged. Following the nationwide protest tagged "End Bad Governance," which took place between August 1 and 10, security agencies had arrested several protesters, including the minors, which sparked public outrage. Meanwhile, the Minority Caucus of the House of Representatives has demanded compensation for minors detained by the police for 3 months over alleged charges of terrorism, treasonable felony, and arson for participating in the End Bad Governance protest. In a statement jointly signed by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, Minority Whip Dr. Ali Isa, Deputy Minority Leader Aliyu Madaki, and Deputy Minority Whip George Ozodinobi, the caucus also called for investigation, prosecution, and punishment of the actors, including individuals and government agencies involved in the ordeal of the minors and other youths who took part in August protests. While commending President Tinubu for the release of the protesters, the Minority Caucus stressed the need for accountability and compassionate support in addressing the incident, hence the call for a thorough investigation and punishment for individuals and government bodies responsible for the youth's detention. Minister of Defense Abubakar Badaru and his counterpart Bello Matawalle have condoled with President Bola Tinubu over the demise of Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, who passed on Tuesday night. Samuel Odi has details.
The Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaru, described the death of Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Lagbaja, as tragic and a great loss to the nation. He described the late Chief of Army Staff as a gallant officer and a warrior who served in so many theaters and performed credibly at service. Badaru prayed for the repose of Lieutenant General Lagbaja's soul.
He was a gallant officer, very, very hardworking. He was indeed a warrior. He has served in so many theaters and have done commendably well. It's a very sad loss for the country. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to receive him.
Also, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawali, lured the courage service to the nation. He described Lieutenant General Lagbaja as a great loss and condoled with his family and the nation.
He's a gallant officer and it's a great loss to this nation, and all we can say is to God to bless the family, and we assure Nigerians that we'll continue praying for the demise of Lagbaja, and we sending our condolences to the family of the deceased and Mr. President, because it's a great loss to this nation.
The acting chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, expressed regret following the death of Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Lagbaja.
The entire Nigerian army is actually in a very sorrowful mood, having lost our leader, Lieutenant General T.A. Lagbaja. This was someone that gave his all to Nigeria. He was a selfless leader. Then I want to enjoin Nigerians. For someone that have given his all to Nigeria, we need to celebrate him. So in that, I think I want Nigerians to actually celebrate him for the good job he did while alive.
President Bola Tinubu had on Wednesday rescheduled the Federal Executive Council meeting to a yet-to-be-announced date to mourn the late Chief of Army Staff. Initially scheduled for today, the council meeting was postponed in honor of Lieutenant General Lagbaja, the Chief of Army Staff who passed away on Tuesday night. After announcing the postponement at the council chamber, Vice President Kashim Shettima led other council members in observing a 1-minute silence in honor of the late Army Chief. Samuel Odi reporting for Global Television News.
The armed forces of Nigeria have reaffirmed their commitment to the fight against terrorism despite the tragic loss of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, made the assertion during the bi-weekly briefing military on operations across all theaters. He explained that the tragic loss would not deter the military from its mission of containing terrorist threats and ensuring national security. We'll bring you that report subsequently. The federal government has met with stakeholders in Lagos to discuss the proposed Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill, part of a series of consultations designed to shape a nationwide legal framework for the digital economy. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, speaking at the event, emphasized the government's commitment to involving all stakeholders to ensure the proposed legislation both inclusive and impactful. Lagos meeting followed earlier sessions held in several states as government works to gather input from each of Nigeria's 36 states as well as the Federal Capital Territory. The bill, once passed, aims to improve data interoperability, boost the private sector's access to government data, and enhance digital services for citizens. The Tinkan Island commander of the Nigeria Customs Service has handed over 37 billion naira worth of unregistered pharmaceuticals to officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and the National Agency for Food and Drug Control, NAFDAC, in Lagos. The Customs Area Controller, Tinkan Island Command, Dara Nandi, said the consignment, which were intercepted at the Lagos port between January and October 2024, were imported into Nigeria from Canada, India, and the United Kingdom. Nandi, while highlighting the command's achievements in the last 10 months, said the command in particular and the service in general will deploy all necessary resources and strategies at its disposal to check the menace of illegal importation of unregistered pharmaceutical products into Nigeria. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has called on political parties and their candidates in Ondo State to conduct themselves with the highest level of decorum and responsibility during and after the gubernatorial polls. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu made the call at Ondo State Governorship Election Stakeholders Meeting in Akure, the state capital. Bureau Television's correspondent Kikelemo Okere reports from the state capital.
The chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Yakubu Mahmood, says the stakeholders meeting is aimed to deliberate, appeal and encourage all political parties, traditional rulers, civil society organizations, security agencies, the media and other stakeholders to work together in order to achieve a successful exercise in the coming election.
I am glad that the relevant agencies have given us the necessary assurances of security during the election, including unimpeded access to voting and collation locations by observers and the media.
He reiterated the Commission's commitment to leverage on technology in order to prevent manipulation, ease the process for voters, and deliver results with accuracy and speed.
Let me reassure stakeholders that INEC is ready for the election. We are deploying the BVAS machines for voter accreditation at polling units and for upload of results to the INEC result viewing portal.
The INEC chairman urged the media to provide balanced reporting, devoid of sensitization, and educate the people on their rights and responsibility during the election. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, who was represented by Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 17, Abiodun Oladimeji Ashabi, warns the political leaders in Ondo State against engagement in thuggery. He added that the police with other security agencies will provide tight security during and after the election.
Bear in mind that performing our roles in fair and orderly manner will certainly reduce the security threats to the barest minimum, with a far-reaching effect on the credibility of the election.
National Commissioner supervising Ogun, Ondo and Osun State, Professor Ade Ajayi, says his commission is working closely with security agencies to ensure that residents can participate without fear and appeal to security personnel to be alert and ensure free and fair election.
We recognize that election security is paramount to ensuring that voters can participate without fear. The presence of security officials will be solely to maintain peace and protect all individuals involved in the process.
Kelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The governor of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, has continued his statewide governorship campaign tour, taking a message of comprehensive development to the people of Okitipupa local government area. Received by jubilant supporters who trooped out in their thousands, the governor promised to build on the legacies of the last governor from the Southern Senatorial District, late Olusegun Agagu, who hailed from the local governments. Again, Kikelamo Okere has more.
Meeting with the traditional rulers of the area at the Okitipupa local government secretariat, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa says he considers himself fortunate to be the third governor emerging from the region, following the legacy of service established by his predecessors. Governor Aiyedatiwa acknowledged the foundational infrastructure established by the late former governor Olusegun Agagu and promised to build on those achievements, especially in the area of road construction. To further support the growth in Ikale land, the governor pledged to facilitate the establishment of the airstrip facility in the local government so as to make it easy for investors to access the region, as well as facilitating business and economic opportunity and growth. He also reaffirmed that the proposed deep sea project in the south will commence after the election in the coming year. The governor also disclosed that a 20-kilometer road construction project in the Southern Senatorial District has already been approved, aiming to enhance connectivity in the region. Speaking on behalf of the monarchs, the Abodi of Ikale land, Oba George Babatunde Faduyile Adeguntu, expressed their support for the governor. Addressing a large gathering of enthusiastic supporters at Methodist Primary School in Okitipupa, Governor Aiyedatiwa conveyed his gratitude to the people as he was visibly moved by the impressive turnout. The governor, in company of the Director General of the campaign, Honorable Abiola Makinde, and Chief Olushola Oke, among other party leaders, also commissioned the Secretariat of APC in the local government. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When News Cycle returns shortly, Presidency collaborates Two-Face on job creation and micro, small and medium enterprises. Those details as well as foreign and sports news for you. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Time to turn to business now. The presidency has collaborated with music legend Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Two-Face, in order to stimulate public support for micro, small and medium enterprises. Job creation and Small and Medium Enterprises MSME Secretariat in the Office of the Vice President entered the partnership agreement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation and MSMEs, Tola Adekunle Johnson, and Two-Face in Abuja. Adekunle Johnson says the coming on board of Two-Face as a job creation and MSMEs brand ambassador would promote ideas and initiatives under the National MSMEs Awards, noting that the partnership would promote the expanded National MSMEs Clinics, Shared House for MSMEs initiative, as well as other related activities around job creation. The presidential aide also expressed hope that Two-Face's craft and goodwill would help promote the participation of citizens in all programs aimed at creating jobs and supporting businesses. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokpobiri has engaged with international investors, highlighting Nigeria's significant potential as a key energy investment hub. Lokpobiri, speaking at the Africa Energy Week 2024 in Cape Town, South Africa, emphasized Nigeria's position as home to nearly 30% of Africa's oil and gas reserves. According to a statement signed by the Minister's Special Advisor on Media and Communication, Emeka Okafor, the Minister underscored the government's commitment to creating an attractive investment environment through strategic reforms in the oil and gas sector. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has thrown its weight behind a threat by the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, to embark on a national strike over the alleged use of military personnel to eject workers from the Orushemeni oil rig. This was contained in a statement signed by NLC President Joe Ajaro. The Congress condemned the allegation against the military by the oil workers, noting that it stands solidly behind NUPENG as it threatened to escalate its response to the dispute should the breach of agreements and the use of military and other security agencies to interfere in industrial relations matters continue. On the foreign scene, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has made his first official cabinet appointment following his decisive election victory. This signals his intent to shift away from the outgoing administration's policies, including seeking talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump announced that his campaign manager, Susie Wiles, would serve as his White House chief of staff, making her the first woman to hold the high-profile role. Meanwhile, Putin praised Trump as courageous for his response to an assassination attempt during a rally in July and expressed readiness to engage in discussions with the president-elect. The United Nations Human Rights Office has condemned the high number of civilians killed in the war in Gaza, saying its analysis shows close to 70% of verified victims over a 6-month period were women and children. The agency says the high number was largely due to Israel's use of weapons with wide area effects in densely populated areas, although some deaths may have been the result of errant projectiles by Palestinian armed groups. The report said it found unprecedented levels of international law violations, raising concerns about war crimes and other possible atrocity crimes. Palestinian envoy to Nigeria, Abdullah Abu Shawesh, has expressed deep concerns about the likely actions or stand of the newly elected 47th President of the U.S., Donald Trump. The ambassador, who made this known at a press briefing in Abuja, noted that the previous experience under Trump made it difficult to tell if he will keep to his campaign promises of ending wars across the world. Anthony Momodu now reports.
The Palestinian envoy to Nigeria, Abdullah Abu Shawesh, therefore called on the International Committee to compel Donald Trump to keep to his campaign promises of ending the carnage in the Middle East despite his first-term bias in favor of Israel.
If this is the case, we have a very bad experience with the President-elected Trump. When he was in his office 4 years ago, he took approximately 17 measures. All of these measures is against the Palestinian people. To name some of it, just he recognized Jerusalem as the eternal capital of Israel, which is against the international law. We all know that Jerusalem or East Jerusalem is considered as occupied territory, Palestinian occupied territory.
The envoy says in just 1 year, the U.S. has spent at least $22.76 billion on military aid to Israel, leading to the 90% of the Gaza population suffering food insecurity, displacement, lack of cash, water, and medicine.
We pledge that no one will be left behind. 2030 agenda for sustainable development. We, the Palestinians, were left behind. 398 days of non-stop bleeding at the hands of the United States of America, Israel, different slaughtering machine.
Shawesh pleaded with the newly elected President of the United States, Donald Trump, to uphold the tenets of international law to ensure true global peace and the freedom of the Palestinian people.
Just to abide by the international law. I will not add more than that. For the elected President Trump, just to abide by the international law.
It is hoped that the promise by the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, to end the killing of over 43,392 Palestinians with 103,337 injured amidst 85,000 tons of bombs dropped in Gaza by the Israeli Defense Forces will come to pass for the good of humanity. Anthony Momodu, reporting for Global Television.
Anthony Momodu, thank you. Let's turn to sport now. Manchester United defender Luke Shaw has returned to training following 3 months out with injury. The England left back, who has not played for the club since February, sustained a calf injury in early August. He had been expected to return after the international break in October, but former manager Erik ten Hag had said Shaw had suffered a setback. Shaw suffered a hamstring injury in February that ruled him out of the remainder of the last Premier League season. The Nigerian international Victor Osimhen has reiterated his desire to remain at Galatasaray for the remainder of the season. Osimhen moved to the Rams Park on a season-long loan deal from Napoli in the summer. The Nigerian international has been linked with a move away from the Turkish Super League champions ahead of the summer transfer window approaching. And that's a full cycle on the news, and it came to you here on Global Television. Thank you so very much for watching. But here's a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. You can also find us on free-to-air on Nightcomsat. Use our handle at Global TVNG to follow us across all social media platforms. I'm Uyag Mofrebe. At top of the hour, Eddie and Michael will bring you Big Talk.
Is always a constant. Q in UNISA 1. UNISA acknowledged the media in information dissemination.